Well, Dave, it's great to be with you today. Thanks for taking some time to chat.
Yeah, man, it's good to be here.
Yeah. So, yeah, as you know, we do these interviews with different innovators who are helping nonprofits think through their innovation strategy, and you and I have gotten to know each other over the last what has been maybe like 7 or 8 months.
Oh man, yeah, I think we're past the year mark.
We might
Pretty
be.
close.
That's true. Oh, I guess you're right because when we first started connecting, it was I think you're right. It was even last year. That's right. Very cool. Well, I'd love for you to share with the Innovation Mission audience just a little bit about your personal journey in helping nonprofits with innovation, because maybe to share a little bit about your journey as far as your career journey, and then kind of how that's tied into to what you're doing now.
Yeah. No, I'm happy to do that. I when I was younger, in college, I remember just being really fascinated with all things technology and digital, and then I realized after a semester that coding was not going to be my future, both because I was only okay at it, but also I realized I really like people and I like ideas, and this is going to be limiting. And so ended up just falling really deeply down the rabbit hole of business and marketing, and just really wanted to um, just wanted my work to mean something. And it wasn't until graduation and looking for a job that I found out that you could actually get paid working in the charity space, in the nonprofit space. I just thought, for some reason, I thought that must be just a volunteer job, that you do on the weekends, and you do whatever business things, pay the bills in the meantime. And so for me, that was almost 20 years ago. And so spent really the bulk of my career in helping nonprofits and organizations to really raise more money, drive more growth so that they can do more impact. And when you talk about innovation, the common denominator, as I've thought about it over the years, has been really this idea of what are the new or renewal opportunities
Mm,
for organizations to drive revenue or income to be able to again do more of what it is that they do. And so that did start in the early days with digital, and what's happening, and what was happening and what is happening today in using digital and marketing and those sorts of techniques. But as my career went on, I realized it wasn't just a specific channel that innovation was about. It was much more around this disciplined process of helping to create new products or new programs that organizations could leverage to then create that kind of growth. And so, the agency that I was at for really the bulk of my career, um, um, I was thinking about this, John, the other day. I've had 7 different jobs throughout the course of that career, including the last several on the executive team, and one of the common denominators in most of those jobs was starting things and creating things and figuring out how to create a
yeah.
team and a product and figure out how to like bring it to the market and then do that with clients, with nonprofits. So
You
that's
kind
been
of
the
got
kind
used
of
to
common
that even
denominator.
in the process of doing more agency kind of work. You were getting that chance to build new things.
Yeah. And
That's
that's just, I think that's just fundamentally just part of the wiring that God's given me. It's just I don't think of myself as an innovator or a futurist. I think of myself as a friend of innovators and futurists, but for some reason I just keep finding myself in the middle of those kinds of situations.
Well, I think one of the things that I talk about a lot, but is that the innovation is a disciplined process, even if you're not maybe naturally an innovator, or that kind of is the only thing you've ever done. You can be involved in that process, right? Even if it's not something that you know everything about. If it's designed well, then it brings a lot of people into the fold of being involved in creating new things. And so I'd love for you to share a little bit, Dave, about maybe a blind spot you see ministry innovators struggling with, as you're working with them, and we'll talk a little bit more about your new company in a little bit. But just as you talk to them, interact with them, where's a blind spot that you kind of naturally see or regularly see as you interact?
Good question. I can think of a couple, but I think the one I would suggest is one of the larger blind spots, if you will, particularly in the nonprofit space. When you think about innovation, is nonprofits can get really excited about innovation, which is awesome. Now, for some nonprofit leaders, innovation is a four-letter word. It's just like, we tried that one time and we lost a lot of resources, and we don't have anything to show for it. So not everybody has a good experience with innovation, but those nonprofits that do genuinely buy into innovation as an important part of the renewal process of doing more and better work, um, they oftentimes think of innovation as a program concept, so as a part of how to do the work of the charity more or better. So, for example, how can we more efficiently deliver services, or how can we improve our delivery, systems in terms of how we do the work? Where I don't see as much innovation happening is on the sustainable economic engine
Mm,
revenue side of things to support doing more of that work. Um, so when you think of it as an organization can innovate and create an entirely new or more effective way of doing its services, but if they don't equally innovate on the funding side to be able to sustain that innovation, that's why I talk about sustainable innovation, then it's like, if a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? If an innovation gets created, but it doesn't have a funding engine, like, does it make an impact?
no, the
And so I
funding
think
models
that's
are
one of those pieces.
critical. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just such a critical part of innovation. You know, that's why in most definitions of innovation, right, they talk about new, but also value, right? It's got to be new, it's got to be novel or different, but it also has to generate value both for the user as well as the person who is providing that, right? The nonprofit, the business, whoever it is. So no, that's a great observation. I think you're right. I can see that blind spot in organizations I've watched as well. What do you enjoy most about the innovation process? As you're involved in it yourself, right? What has that been like, and what do you enjoy?
I love that question. I think about these, I feel, and I'm sure a lot of people feel this way, like I have these multiple, I don't want to say multiple personalities because that's means a different thing, but there's this part of me that loves to learn and observe and to, just pay attention to the world. I've got a weekly report that I write called the Wave Report, and it's basically what is going on in different industries and consumer trends and technology trends in a book that I read recently, and how can nonprofit and business leaders learn from that. So there's like the learner part of me that I just get so much energy out of, but I'm also wired to feel like it doesn't really count unless it actually, that learning does something. I think there are people that are just happy to write the book or to give the speech, and for me it's just like, oh, that's just so like not satisfying, and so there's the other half of me is like, but to actually come alongside organizations to help them to do innovation.
Uh-huh.
And so it's this combination of just loving to learn, but then loving to see when that learning gets put into action.
Mm. Yeah, it's always a balance, right? I think, when we have multiple interests like that, because I'm the same way. I have some different things I enjoy. Is the different things feed you in different ways, right? So you need in
Yeah.
your innovation practitioner side in the work that you have to find a way to feed both of those, and that's what feeds you and gives you energy. And that's great. So I think before we wrap up, I want to give you a chance to share just a little bit about your new agency, what you set up, and kind of things you're offering to people, because a lot of the people that get the Innovation and Mission newsletter are in the ministry nonprofit innovation space, and they're always looking for people to help them in different ways depending on their needs and their fit. So really want them to get to know you and what you're up to.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. So the name of the company is Imago Consulting. IMAGO, Imago. As a marketer, by the way, naming your company with a Latin name is a bit of a risk, but I figured, I think folks, especially in the ministry space can appreciate this idea of imago, which by the way is Latin for image or imagination. It's
Right.
this word picture of a future that does not exist yet, but will be. And it's also from Genesis 1, that we're all created in the imago Dei, the image of God. And so, really, what Imago Consulting exists to do is to help organizations to see opportunities for innovation, what's happening in their marketplace, so to speak, the trends that are disrupting or opportunities to take advantage, and then what to do about that. And
Mhm.
so we do that in a couple of different ways. We do have a assessment process that we take organizations through. We look at their funding portfolio and what happens with their funding portfolio and where the opportunities are there. We also do work in helping organizations with their product or program development and identifying opportunities to do that as well. One other thing, and John, you and I have talked about this previously, that I'm really excited about is facilitating organizations and teams around the team setup, structure, and culture in order to innovate. I mean, we talk about culture
Important,
all the
yeah.
time and how that can
Okay.
really be a barrier to innovation. And
That's a big
one of
one.
the things that I've seen as I think about disciplined innovation is a lot of organizations think of innovation in like one channel. It's like innovation is just big idea, blue sky, creative thinking. And that's awesome. And you need that. Some
Mhm.
other organizations or leaders think of innovation as just an implementation thing. Like it doesn't count unless you implement, right? And then there's the whole spectrum. Well, there's a model that I wanted to mention, and it's by an author by the name of Patrick Lencioni, and it's called the Working Genius Model. And the reason I mention this in the context of Imago is we've adopted this model to actually help with team alignment around,
Oh,
if a team struggles with things like taking those ideas and then moving them into operationalizing and ongoing
mhm.
operations, that can be a challenge. Or, they're really good at being operationally effective, but they have a hard time activating new ideas, right? There's a lot of different things that can happen with innovation. And this model called the Working Genius model is really tremendous at helping organizations do that. And I believe in it so much. I've used it for a few years now that I've gone through the process of certification and am a professionally certified facilitator to help organizations figure out, okay, how do we get the right alignment of the right people, the right roles at the right stages in the process of actually bringing a new innovation to light. And so that's one of the other pieces that we do. So
Great.
just a few things.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking time to chat, and thanks for all you're doing to help organizations to innovate.
Yeah, man, glad to do it.